This lesson, we're going to talk about deadlines. The grammar point we'll use today will be this one: before, until, and by, so future time words that we're going to talk about. Let's start off with some examples with each one of these words. Can we finish class before 6? I'll be in class until 6. I'll be finished class by 6. When using the word before, we use a clause before and a time clause, or a noun. I need to be home before 7, so this is a specific time. Before has many uses, but its meaning is quite simple. So we use before when talking about an action that needs to be complete earlier than a specific time, or another action. So something needs to be complete before a time or another action. Some examples using before are these three. We need to be at the exam hall before 9. Let's go home before it rains. Before you leave, can you turn off the lights? Here is some context on these three sentences. We need to be at the exam hall before 9 means not at 9. So when you arrive at the exam hall, it has to be before 9. If you arrive at 9, you will be late. Let's go home before it rains. So if we go home when it rains, we will get wet, but going home before it rains, we won't get wet. Before you leave, can you turn off the lights? So this is an example of an action that needs to be completed earlier than another action. So you can't turn off the lights after you leave, or at the same time as when you are leaving. So you have to complete them before you leave. And now let's look at until. The basic structure of this word is a future clause, until, and a time clause or a noun, which is fine. We'll be in Indonesia until next week. Until is a word that we will use usually when an action will continue to a certain time, but not before or afterwards. So an action will start in the past and will continue to the present time, but you won't be doing it before or after that specific time. We use until in the negative when something will not happen before another event happens. This one can be confusing, so let's look at some explanations. I'll be at the library until 8. So this means I will leave at 8, but not before. I will be at the library, something that started in the past, and continues until 8. I will not leave before or after. We can't send the materials until John sees them. So this, in a negative form, describes an action that must happen before another action happens. So sending the materials will not happen until John sees them and says that they look okay. Something that started in the past and continues until 8. I will not leave before or after. We can't send the materials until John sees them. So this, in a negative form, describes an action that must happen before another action happens. So sending the materials will not happen until John sees them and says that they look okay. I won't be back in town until August. So this is a continuing state that will end at this time in August. I won't be back in town until August, not before, not after. And finally, we've reached by. The basic structure of using this word is below: future clause, by, and a time clause. I will finish the report by Friday. Now, by we use when talking about something that will be finished at a specific time, maybe before, but not afterwards. So let's take a look at some examples that explain this. So here we have 3 examples using by. I'll be back in Egypt by next summer. Can you finish this report by Friday? We'll be at your house by 7. So I'll be back in Egypt by next summer means maybe before. So maybe early summer, but definitely not by the fall. So I'll be back in Egypt by next summer. Can you finish this report by Friday? So Monday will be too late. So if you finish before Friday, that's great, but if you wait till Monday, this will be too late. We'll be at your house by 7. Maybe before, but definitely not after. So this is kind of a promise that you will be there by a certain time. Until and by are actually quite similar, so let's take a look at the subtle differences between them. I'll be in class until 6 is something that will continue and finish at 6. I'll be finished class by 6 means I'm finished before or at 6. So a completed action in the second sentence and a continuing action in the first sentence that will stop at 6. And let's practice. And some practice sentences. Let's look at the blanks and decide based on the second sentence in each of these sentences which one we will choose, before, until, or by. So the first one, we have a meeting that morning. The second, we have a meeting on Monday. And the third, let's have a meeting on Tuesday. Let's look at the answers here. Can we finish the materials before Friday? We have a meeting that morning. So this must happen before the meeting on Friday morning because on Friday will be too late. Can we finish the materials by Friday? We have a meeting on Monday. So if the materials are finished before Friday, that's great, but they cannot be finished after Friday, so they need to be finished by Friday. The materials won't be finished until Monday. Let's have a meeting on Tuesday. So a state will continue. The materials won't be finished until Monday. And Monday, that's when we will have these available. So let's have a meeting on Tuesday. Our topic today was talking about deadlines, so let's do that. Here is a situation at an office where one coworker is speaking with another coworker, and they are talking about Mohit's vacation. So let's look at each blank and decide whether before, until, or by goes in this section. And to help you, let's see the rest of the sentence and take some clues. Now take a minute and fill in these blanks. Okay, so this was a bit of a simple fill in the blanks, but let's take a look at what we got. I'll definitely submit my report by the end of the day. So in this case, Mohit was leaving tomorrow, so he can't submit the materials before, and because he's very busy, and he can't submit them after because he won't be able to. So I'll definitely submit my report by the end of the day. You can submit it any time before 10 tomorrow morning. So this is the deadline for it. At 10 a.m. tomorrow morning is too late to have the materials, but before, any time is great. Sounds good. My flight isn't leaving until 2. So this is a negative state that will continue and stop at 2. Let's read this through. Hey Mohit, when are you going on vacation? I'm leaving tomorrow, so I'll definitely submit my report by the end of the day. Great, but if you need time to work on it, you can submit it any time before 10 tomorrow morning. Sounds good. My flight isn't leaving until 2. Excellent work. Hopefully you feel more comfortable using by, until, and before. And this is usually very useful to talk about deadlines. So at school or at work or something that has to stop or be finished by a certain time. See you in the next lesson.